up, y'all? Listen, welcome to Battle Wounds Podcast. I'm your host, Amos St. John.
Your boy, Tank. What's happening, y'all?
Man, it's been so much love. I first got to say thank y'all for showing us so much love on our first premiere, Season 6. We welcome our boy, Tank. Man, this dude is the real deal, man. Definitely appreciate the love y'all showing on a new co-host here for Battle Wounds. Do me a favor, make sure y'all subscribe, like right now. If you're not subscribed, go ahead. Let's just get it over with.
Click that button, man. It takes 2 seconds to go ahead and share and subscribe and join us on a weekly basis, diving into what we call life.
This is what it is, man.
Yes, sir.
So listen, man. Last week we talked about. Are you ready for love? Golly, dog.
Got a little deep into the woods about are you really ready for love? And I still think a lot of people really aren't.
Listen, man. I'll be honest, man. I think that's one of the first things that I realize is like, man, I got to be honest, man. Instead of wasting time, especially I'm a little older, so I can't be wasting time. So you got to ask that question constantly. Am I really ready for love, man? And I was like, nah, I don't know. It all depends now. You might find the right one and, it clicks. But till then, I think I just need to just focus on building myself.
Oh, man, nothing wrong with that, man. Like they said, Rome wasn't built in one day.
Yeah.
And you really want to find somebody who fits you and not so much just fits the moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people rush into it anyway just because they're just trying to satiate a feeling for a moment, and it's not really a lifetime that they're looking forward to.
Oh, man. Listen, I want to explore a comment a lady said, man. This comment, dude, it ruffled. I mean, once we deal with like sharing stuff on the internet, we got to deal with people sharing their comments, man. And so I want to read a comment from one of our listeners, man. And she had a good comment, man. I wasn't even mad at her, yo. And I'm not gonna probably ain't gonna be able to find it, but she came from a point was like, listen, it was in the topic when we're talking about we're looking for women who are more nurturing,
yeah,
and not just strong.
Right.
And man, she came at me. She didn't came at me. I can't take it personal, but she came from a point like, listen, basically, we tired. We come from a long day of work. We tired.
Yeah.
We just got to order. We got enough strength to just order the food and make sure our family's taken care of. And I didn't even go back and forth with her because it's like, I hear her. Like, I know that's the cry of a lot of women, a lot of wives, a lot of significant others. It's like, we tired, we work hard, we come home, we don't have the energy.
Yeah, and I get that. It's, again, like I said last time, it's a partnership. It's not so much just focusing on one person and one person's struggle. It's both sides have to be equally yoked in that situation.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah.
Because you can't sit there and say that, if I'm working all day and she's working all day, I'm looking at her to do everything. Mm-hmm. And now I know that there's traditional roles that everybody's supposed to fall into. But again, like I wasn't raised that way. Mm-hmm. My parents, again, they met each other at the middle. So if somebody was tired,
that middle,
exactly, that middle ground.
But that's what I'm talking about. Like, there's not a lot of women that believe in the middle ground.
That's true.
There's a lot of women that feel like, well, since I bring more of the bread, I got more of the say so.
Well, here's the thing: if you bring more of the bread, and as a man in that situation, and you still want to have some say so as a woman, you got to respect that, and it goes both ways.
Middle ground,
it's not just one side, and that's what that's where it's understood that 50-50 has nothing to do with finances.
Nah,
it's got more to do with what do you bring in a sense of to uphold the whole relationship. Facts. And not just one side being the financial, because again, it can flip-flop in 2 seconds where somebody's making more than the other, and that should not change the respect that the person has for the other person.
I want to touch on that a little bit. So you said that because if you meet somebody a certain way, like, okay, suppose you meet a chick that's making bread, like
right.
she, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And she comes in with like, yo, I got to have all to say. But what I'm talking about is who you are to your core, because things change. Because there's gonna be a season where she ain't gonna be making the bread. Who are you at that moment? That's what I'm talking about. Like the nurturer, if you're a nurturer, whether you're making bread or not bread, that's what I'm talking about. Like who you are to your core. I get the fact that you work hard and you're tired, but who you are to your core, like, do you care about the well-being of your spouse, your family, you know what I'm saying? And, or you just was like, listen, you take care of that. I'm bringing the bread like that. That. I don't say I've met people like that, but I felt like I run across a lot of women. That's like it's furthest from their brain. They just, it's like you say, me, and not enough we.
Right. And what that is how the family dynamic was when they were younger.
That's so true.
You know what I mean?
Man.
It's the same way that you gain your masculinity from your father. And then you also gain that nurturing side from your mother. And sometimes it's a little different. Sometimes it's more of a nurturing father and more of a strict mother. So it just all depends on how that family, dynamic works. So I can't say that it's just gonna be those original dynamics of like you're gonna be the only person bringing money in and then somebody staying home and not doing anything. But at the end of the day, it's like each person brings something to the table and has to help, because when the kids look at it, when you have kids to look at it, they are trying to see how y'all interact, because that's how they're gonna find their partner too.
Facts. I love that, man. Yeah, and so when she said that, I didn't get a chance to pull up the comment. I felt her pain. Like, yo, we tired and we work hard, and I'm not necessarily speaking to that or negating that. I'm feeling like, who are you? Because there's gonna be a season where you're not probably working hard. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you do when you get home? Like, and my heart desire is meeting someone who has that to their core. I'm not expecting them to be coming home cooking and all that stuff, but I want it to be a thought in their mind. Like, I gotta make sure my man or my family is good. Like, just, all right, enough about them, about me. Who I am to my core, I'm a protector, I'm a provider, I'm a builder.
Okay.
Regardless of what I'm going through, to my core, that's what I'm going to make sure. Like my daughter, she knows I'm going to make sure I'm a protector, regardless of what season I'm at.
Right.
And that's what I'm kind of speaking of concerning women. Who are you to your core? That's what I want to make sure I connect to, and not just what you're showing me in the interview honeymoon process.
Well, the thing is, a lot of people get caught up in that and they don't look past it. Like you said, they end up seeing for like 2 seconds that this person seems to check all the boxes, but you can't have a Build-A-Bear person. I'm gonna be completely honest with you, because once all that honeymoon phase is worn off, then the real you comes out. That's why people who get in deep relationships in 2 seconds, they run the risk. Not saying that all of them end up this way, but they run the risk of things not working out in the long term, because what they did was they saw something and it checked all the little boxes off at that moment, but they weren't looking at the long term boxes.
Short term thinking. Yeah, that's what I mean? Powerful. That's a good comment, because that's what I'm saying is like we get caught up in the honeymoon, the interview process, like, and it's cool. Like I don't negate. Like I know I'm gonna always bring my best. Like my first, because you only get one chance to make a first impression, right? So who you meet, you know what I'm saying. But I'm always looking like when the what you call it, like I said, the honeymoon phase is off. Who are you to your core, right? And that's kind of the deep part that I long to connect to in the long term. You know what I'm saying? But rewind back up a little bit. Are we ready for love? Am I ready for love? And I think we got to go back to what is your definition of love? When you ask a chick, she might have a totally different definition of love. So we talking about, are we ready for love? She may think love is just giving her flowers. And again, that's just speaking to, love languages, man. You know, some people love physical touch. Some people love gifts. Spending time. Quality time, words of affirmation, acts of service. You know what I mean? Like, I love words of affirmation. Like please and thank you and stuff like that, and showing appreciation, that really gets me. And then of course most men love physical touch, because that's how we bond in general. It's innate in every man that they do that. Facts. Unless there's some psychological situation where they can't do that and they don't bond like that, and usually that's some type of trauma. You know what I mean? True. Makes sense. So again, a lot of that stuff going into Are You Ready for Love is how well do you know yourself?
and how well are you able to communicate what you want in that situation comparatively to what you want from them. This is what I'm able to give you.
Yeah. It's all about conversation. I think for me, I'm a conversationalist by nature, and so if I'm dating around and stuff like that, it's not even dating. It's just meeting people. It's like it all starts with a conversation,
right?
And it's the details you come from a conversation. I read a lot of what people say and what they don't say, especially females. Is like, and so that's kind of like I think we were saying on another podcast talk about dating is like data collection.
Yeah, it is. It is.
You know what I'm saying? And so. We're gonna keep talking about that whole dating thing. We could probably bring in some more specialists and stuff, or we bring in a panel of females to kind of represent the females. I think we're gonna do that real soon. And
I think that'd be a good idea because I want both sides to be presented.
Yeah, because I can't speak for
and the thing is, I'm not a female, so I'm not gonna speak on the female's perspective because again, I don't come from that.
And that's why I appreciated that comment. It was like she came from like, yo, we hear. And so I just wanted to kind of expound a little bit on that. And so listen, if you go back to that episode, if you even listen to the episode prior, but this episode, man, I really want to talk about this, man. And you are in the health and fitness industry, and this most likely directly correlates to what you do. And I really want to talk about like stop stressing.
You trying to tell people to stop stressing, dude? In this kind of
easier said than done.
Yeah, and if I'm saying in this day and age, in this Fahrenheit,
like I want to talk about it though, like, and it's like easier said than done. Like, yeah, Amos, say stop stressing, but like how are you managing your stress?
Okay, that's better right there, man. Because I'm just like, man, don't stress.
Don't stress. But but I'm saying like I titled it "Stop Stressing" because it's like. People are dying. People are, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm experiencing a lot of loss in my community. Like, I'm in the music industry, and, my heart goes out to Cornell Gaskin's family and Sean Martin's family. And there are two music generals. These are guys around my age that have passed away. And so, our community is dealing with grief. And it just kind of like reminded me like, yo, life is short, man. Like it ain't worth like the stuff we're stressing about. And I only can speak for myself as like stress is a real thing. And we talking about life be lifing, but I really want us to really dive into like what's the core, what are some core causes of some of the stress. And then once we like identify those five core things, like let's start working on ways to manage it better. Like I'm not saying when they're saying when I mean by stop stressing, meaning like do better in managing your stress.
Yeah, and that right there is one of the hardest things to do because not knowing really what the root is, a lot of people just keep going and they never really just specify what they're stressed out about. Now let's be honest, the majority of us, especially from the men's side, it's work, because it's all we do is work. Not saying that everybody has a job all the time, but at the same time, it's either finding work or finding yourself in too much work.
That's
and
good.
Like there's no balance at what you have. It's sun up to sun down, go to sleep, wake up, do it again. You know what I mean? It's just a level of monotony in that situation. And I know that can cause a lot of stress and feel like the world's on your shoulders.
Yo, and for those who followed my journey with the, prior episodes of Black Battle Wounds, I took a leap of faith at the end of last year. And so I'm currently not in a full-time job. I've kind of been doing a lot of independent contract work, and that's stressful within itself, man.
Oh yeah, it is.
And I noticed there was an article that came out saying how because we live in Dallas, like Dallas has the highest inflation percentage or rate out here in the country. And I was wondering, like, I feel it, like being an independent contractor, not having steady income. Yo, that dollar is feeling like 25 cents.
I'm trying to tell you, have you ever sit there and bought a few things and then all of a sudden you finally get a chance to look at what your statement looked like and you just like, it's like getting punched in the stomach every time. It's like, I just bought gas. A full tank was $60
when it used to be 25.
And I'm trying to tell you, and I feel like I only went down the road like a few times, and you sitting over here like, Where did my gas go, man?
No, and so I want us like as men to like recognize, because I think a lot of us are just in this world, just existing, and we're stressed. We're carrying the stress. And part of my message today is like, stop stressing. Find healthier ways to manage your stress, because I want you to live. You know what I'm saying?
Man, tell me about it, brother.
Yeah.
I understand. You know, in my job, I have multiple people I have to deal with on a regular basis, you know, clientele, and then also when I do security. So I'm not only worrying about my safety, I'm worried about the safety of everybody else who I'm either protecting or I'm just guarding in general.
Yeah.
So I completely get that. And like, it's been them times where I'm working day in and day out, and I'm not even really noticing that months are passing. And it's like, I get so, you know, ingrained in what I'm doing that it becomes like I'm missing family situations, you know, I'm missing family events, you know, I'm missing events with my friends, seeing my god kids grow up. You know what I mean? Like, I got a god kid right now who's in driver's ed, and I was with him when he was an arm baby. I'm not really noticing it because I'm working so hard because I'm stressing about keeping up with everything.
Man, and I want to encourage, like, I'm in this campaign to really, like, and I'm not pointing at you, I'm pointing to myself when I say stop stressing. Like, things are going to happen. Life is lifing. And so it's like I'm realizing as I've been navigating this journey of, you know, in between jobs and finding, and it's been stressful. I ain't gonna lie, like, you know, it's easier said than done. But I notice it's like whatever's gonna happen,
it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. Like, so, like, stressing about it. Like, you know, another stressor we talking about is like financial. Like, again, like,
well, those things go hand in hand. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Like you said, inflation is like crazy. To be honest, if you ever sat down and really looked at the progression of how much your apartment is, or how much your mortgage goes up every single year, it's nuts. You know what I mean? It's like, it's crazy. Even how much they take out of your paycheck on a regular basis. And you're sitting here like, I know I worked all these hours, and I'm walking home with a nice gross, you know, amount, and I look at the net, and I'm just like, where did all this money go to? And it's like, it's literally trying to keep up with everyday payments from whether you're buying food, also your own health insurance. You know what I mean? That right there, like, if you ever watched the deductions, man, like, really look how it breaks down. Like, finances are one of the main triggers in why, you know, again, from the man's perspective, that men are frustrated. And it's not, it has nothing to do with their partner at that moment. They're more frustrated at what's going on in the world, but at the same time, we can be reactive. And it's not okay to be reactive in that situation, because it's not your partner's fault.
And I noticed even before I got out of a relationship, one of the thing I noticed about my partner was wondering, like, yo, is everything all right? You know, she kept asking me, like, are you good? And I'm the type of person, when I'm dealing with stress, I kind of like close in and get into my own space. So a lot of men, we don't necessarily like we just kind of shift into like a silence. In managing. And sometimes our partners or spouses or people around us are confused, like, you know, are you mad at me? Or like, are we good? I'm like, it has nothing to do with you. It's, you know what I'm saying?
It's got everything to do with me.
As a man, like this, and a lot of men, we process differently. Like how we process stress or don't process it's like we just sometimes just kind of stay in our space. And some people explode. Some people, you know, deal with it internally. So it's like,
how much of it is external though? Let's just be honest, man. It's like, when you turn on social media and you turn on the TV, it's trying to keep up with the Joneses. And trying to give that, you know, $1 million experience to your family and to your significant other and stuff like that, so that they're not feeling like they're being left out when other people do certain things. And let's just be honest, sometimes social media will kind of distort things, because people will go on vacation and travel, and it's like this, they're able to spend all this money. But let's make this more of a thing where we're also finding how to really change it. And since work and finances really just come together, we have to find that time to be able to get that balance, the work-life balance. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we can do as far as that, is to take a breather. When they say have a weekend,
Yeah.
Like, take a breather. Don't look at your phone. Don't look at your emails.
Yo, Tank, that's a hard thing, though.
It is.
Yo, that phone, like, you kind of speaking to me because it's like, since I'm a little anxious, like, okay, I'm closing in on a new job and all that stuff, and it's like I'm constantly looking like with the email, and it's just like, yo, Amos, let just like I took a nap.
Yeah.
Like I'm getting old now. It's like, you know what? Instead of just scrolling through my phone, put it down, put it on do not disturb, and like do something. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like I noticed how much of stress and anxiety like my phone and social media
it does
adds to me, and it's like, and sometimes it's subtle and sometimes it's pretty obvious. It's like, yo,
do you know how bad it is though? Sometimes, man, I get it because my job always I'm always connected to my phone, and I hate doing that when I'm in front of people that I care about.
Yeah.
Because I want to give them the attention in that same sense. So I had to learn how to get that work-life balance and put that phone down.
That's good.
Because it would cause me anxiety. Like, I don't know how many of y'all really have dealt with it before. I deal with anxiety attacks and panic attacks because I literally have pushed myself to that point. And when I get to that point, it's like, what am I doing to myself? Because you really have to step back and check yourself.
That's good.
And worry about your mental health. That's the biggest thing, man. And
I love you sharing that because you're speaking to someone who's probably dealing with the same thing, and they're not taking the time to ask and question themselves. Like, yo, like, are you good? Or sharing and extending to someone else, like talking to someone else about it. Like, because sometimes having that shoulder to lean on to just vent. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it helps even manage the stress or even realize like, yo, maybe I'm overthinking a little bit. Because sometimes when we in our own head, it magnifies. You know what I'm saying? And so I think sometimes sometimes I'll throw something at you and you say a comment, I'm like, oh.
Yeah. It just changes your thought pattern and how things flow because it's not just your brain working at it. Like, I also put stuff on like a dry erase board, or I write it down on my phone, and I'm figuring out what is triggering me. Why am I upset? What a part of my job? And I get down to the nitty and the gritty, whether it's between, am I pressed too hard to try to reach a sales goal at that moment? I need to relax at that point.
That's good.
Do I need to take a little bit more time when I take my lunch break so that I'm able to kind of breathe and not have to worry about too much? I'm just kind of focusing on what I can handle. What is something that is not going to change my whole entire day for the worse, but what can I do to make it better? Focusing on the better. And feeling better in that situation.
Yeah. It's listen, man. Like, it's just like, man, like life. Life in itself, and having that person to lean on and to share and deal with, and then you said the dry erase board, man. It's like, listen, get out your mind. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes in your head, it's like, one second, my daughter's texting me. Like I say, it's like getting it out your head. Like, sometimes in your head, it gets so compounded, it gets so magnified. If you don't take time and just put it out there, like, and put your thoughts in, you know what I'm saying? Like brainstorm or brain dump, you know what I'm saying? It stays here. It just adds so much more stress. So I do appreciate you sharing that, like a dry erase board or a pad, or just getting it out or talking to someone, concerning whatever is giving you anxiety or stress. So we talked about work pressure. We talked about financial pressure. Now let's talk about the pressure with health. Like, a lot of us are dealing with, like, for me, I deal with hypertension. And so those issues are directly correlated with stress.
Yeah, it is. Because thing is, it'll push your blood pressure up to a point where, you'll have, heart attacks. You can have just a multitude of health scares, whether it's also stress related, as far as, like, are you putting your body in such a stressful situation that you get sick? Not even like from a heart perspective, but like, how often are you getting colds? How often are you getting the flu? How often are you getting COVID? How often are you noticing that, like, your face breaks out, acne and stuff like that? It's really that stress, you know what I mean? That you are not only compounding work, but now you're sick and now you're stressed about that. So you're just piling things on left and right. And that's how it goes.
Yeah.
But we have to find ways to decompress. You know what I mean? When you're stressed out, whether it's go to the gym, and of course this is my circle, my circle, my job.
That's what I said. I look at you like it directly, like when I'm talking about stop stressing, like we have to combat the stress with healthier habits, like especially when it comes to work, when it comes to your finances, and then now we talked about your health. Like you gotta, like for me, I think one of the biggest tools that saved my life in the last 3 or 4 years was that gym, dog.
You ain't never lying, man.
That gym, that was. I didn't go to a bar, go drink or go smoke or go do something unhealthy. Yeah. I went to that gym and just like really hash out the stress and channel some of that anger, that frustration, that all that stuff, man. And some of us may not be able to go to like a gym like we go to, but like.
Well, man, if they can't do that, man, we can go outside. I'm telling you,
if you follow him on his social media every morning, he is like walking on like and it's crazy. I love it.
It's so if y'all look at my IG, it's Tank_Ray. I put consistency, #consistency all the time, because thing is that moment where I'm walking or I'm jogging, I'm doing something in the morning just to get my cardio in, is really my time to kind of collect my thoughts, figure out what I'm going to do for the day, and really just compartmentalize everything that I need to do in my mind so I can write my little mental checklist. And, I invite anybody to do that, whether you're walking with me, running with me, or even just like do it yourself. You know what I mean? Anything that can help you step away from the day-to-day grind and kind of break up again the monotony.
That's good.
So that you can actually focus. When you walk, you're 30% more creative. That's a fun little fact that most people don't know.
That's good.
And it's an easy way to kind of allow your heart rate to calm down. You don't have to run. If your knees are bad because of years of football and basketball and whatever sports you playing, go for a walk.
That's good.
You know what I mean? Clear your mind. Allow things to slowly, just take form. Like one big thing most people don't know is that I've been in the gym for, I want to say, since I was like 12, 13. Okay. Wow. What it was just an escape from just overthinking everything. That's good. They don't understand the reason why I got this big and why I focused so hard on it was I was trying to change something about me that I could not always, just mentally get out of. So if I got stressed out about school, if I got stressed out about something that happened in the family, if I got stressed out about anything, I went to that gym and I really put that work in, and I took all that stress out on that weight. So when I walked out, I'm like, I'm thinking better. My mind is clear. I'm not as angry. I'm just focused.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
And that comes from, again, the mental health aspect. So you over here changing, not only just your physical outlook, but your mental outlook.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? Get rid of that cortisol. That's the hormone that everybody needs to know about when it comes to stress. Is cortisol. Doesn't matter if you're men or women, you're going to deal with it at some point in time. But let's choose a healthier way. Going to the gym, going on a walk. You don't have to pay for an expensive gym, even though they're nice.
They're great.
You have country clubs, you have all the nice ones. But at the same time, find something that works for you.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about doing what everybody else does.
That's good.
Because that's their life. Do what works for you. If jump rope, if you want to go jump rope, if you want to go rollerblade, skate, do whatever. Just get out there and get physically active so your brain has a chance to shut down. You know what I mean?
Listen, Dr. Tank.
Maybe I should go for my PhD.
Listen,
you know what I'm saying?
Listen, that and managing your stress, like being active, get up. Wherever you are, you're stressing right now, take a walk, take a breather, do a meditation. For me, like, I got meditation apps where I just take a moment. Well, all right, I'll be honest, I do the meditation apps in the sauna.
Ain't nothing wrong with that, man.
So I'm doing two things at the same time, like the sauna.
No, there's nothing wrong with like the Calm app.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about?
yeah.
Hey, this is not a plug.
No.
I'm just saying the Calm app is dope.
Yeah, the Calm app is so there's Calm. There's a couple of other ones. And when I'm in a sauna, you know, I'm dealing with that detox and sweating, and then I'm also doing meditation. And the meditation is like breathing exercises. It's just disconnecting, you know, and just kind of just relaxing. And so those are things you can do in helping managing your stress, whether it's financial, whether it's from work, whether it's your health. And another, I guess, for me, when I mentioned like the last couple of years, I went to the gym as a great outlet because I was dealing with relationship issues. That's a whole nother, you know what I'm saying? Right before my divorce, all hell broke loose.
Yeah.
And so, like, I didn't want to go and make like, that's why I say I have a circle of accountability. Like, and I'll talk about all I went through, but like when you're in that weird space, you're liable to make some really dumb decisions. And so what I was able to do, thankfully, was to just like, instead of making a dumb decision, I decided to go to the gym.
And that's the point, man.
And so like relationship struggles, you know, some people may go and try to form another unhealthy relationship, or whether it's a person or a drug or a habit or something. But like combating the stress, you have to, again, find healthier ways to manage it. And so for me, again, the gym was probably a great source. Or where else I used to go? Church.
And again, whatever helps you get better at it, whether it's, again, I focused more on my friend group, since I already work in the gym. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, yeah, there's no escaping it for you.
And the thing is, you got to remember, relationship struggles doesn't always just mean your significant other. It's relationships with your family.
Yeah.
It's relationships with your friend. It doesn't have to only be like, oh man, my girlfriend's getting on my nerves and my wife is just stressing me out. It's, you have family trauma, and that's where a lot of trauma bonding starts to really show its face, because I'm dealing with this, so let me go ahead and start an unhealthy relationship with somebody who already has the same trauma, because I'm just trying to find somebody who shares my pain, and that's pain shopping.
Yeah, that pain shop. Listen, you. I think you was the one that introduced me to that term, pain shopping, because I was like, yo. Looking on people's social media, and you're coming up with your own synopsis, or you coming up like you triggering yourself. Like when you pain shop, you're looking at stuff that knowing is wrong to look at, but you still look at it and add to your stress. And I was like, I was just like, man, I gotta find ways to not pain shop. And so I love that term, man, because again, some of us, no one scrolling on or looking at a person's social media profile is like you're looking for trouble.
Yeah.
And so like that thing, but back you mentioned again, it's not just relationship issues or stress. It's not just with romantic relationships. It's with them, with you said, with family. You know what I'm saying, and it's with it's with family. Sometimes it's work relationships, and sometimes And so, like when I mean relationships, all of those things play a factor in it. And so, finding healthier ways to combat with relational stress. Again, we talked about work-related stress. We talked about financial stress. We talked about health, related stress, and then we talked about relationship stress. And one more, which is a big one, is societal expectations. That stress of keeping up with the Joneses.
Oh yeah, man. That to me is the biggest lie that we tell ourselves. So you look at what everybody in the world expects of you when you don't really look at what you expect from yourself. Because a lot of times we sit there, look at social media, and especially for fellas, we're looking at another guy and being like, am I keeping up with, am I able to keep up with him? If he's like a basketball player, football player, CEO, CFO. And the funny thing about it, a lot of times, is that they're looking at the same thing to try to keep up with the other brother. Instead of always competing and comparing each other comparatively to being able to say, you know what, I'm doing good. I'm being able to pay my bills. My kids are able to go anywhere they want to go. My wife is able to get whatever she needs to get, and our family is able to get what we need to survive. And we try to put so much pressure on us that we start to slowly crack. And then when we look out relief for other things, like, again, alcohol, drugs, things like that, because we want to numb that pain of not being able to so-called keep up with the social expectation of what everybody is expecting. And one thing that we have not said, but I would agree, and I know you would agree at the same time, that would encompass every bit of this stress: go seek help. There's so many new therapy apps that will put you with a therapist that if one doesn't work for you, another one will. So like there's BetterHelp. Again, this is not a shameless plug, but there's BetterHelp. That's one that I know of mainly that will be able to put you with a therapist that would maybe fit your better needs, because they go down the list of being able to filter what you want and what you don't want. Do you want a man? Do you want a woman? Do you want somebody who is religious? Somebody who is just, it doesn't matter if you're part of the LGBTQ plus community, you can find somebody who's that way for you so that y'all feel like you're a little bit more connected. It's all about finding that person that connects with you as your therapist and being able to make that connection so you can feel like you get everything off your chest and somebody does understand you. You know, I'm blessed to have my sister.
Yeah, she's a
doctor.
Yeah,
she's a doctor in psychology.
Okay.
And you know what I mean? And she'll tell you the truth too. She's like, hey, look, therapists need therapists. Life like hits hard. So stress in general, social expectations hit the hardest because of that.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because you're trying to keep up with everybody else when you're trying to really just learn how to survive. That's the hardest part about it.
Yeah.
It's trying to learn how to balance that out.
So we dealing with the stresses of society. Like you shared that, like sometimes we place pressure on ourselves concerning what we see others doing, and especially the fellas, man. You know, like I said, social media, man, that thing.
It's not real, and I keep saying this over and over again. It's not real, guys. It's not. It's a great vehicle to get your information, your business, everything rolling out. But do not base your life off of seeing everybody else's life, because you do not know what they're going through and the things that they're seeing on a day-to-day basis that make them that way. Because a lot of people fake the funk all the time, and they're just trying to make it look good. Again, for TV, it's like trying to get views in their own reality show.
For the gram.
Yeah, man. Do it for the gram. You know what I'm saying? Hell, World Star. Remember, like, I'm trying to live life on World Star. Nah. It's not something that's necessary. It's not. You know what I mean? Instead of tapping into so much social media, tap in with your people.
Yep.
That right there. You know what I mean?
Man, I appreciate my peoples, man, because it's like, especially now in the musician community, we got a lot of our brothers like, checking on each other. A lot of musicians, in the community, we're hurting because, we lost our comrades, man. One had cancer, the one who was dealing with effects of a stroke, and it was tough, man. And so that's what's like the stresses of life, whether it's with work, whether it's finances, whether it's health, whether it's relationship, whether it's with the societal. Stress is stress, and when I'm encouraging you to stop, or what we are doing concerning what we are encouraging you is to stop stressing, meaning find healthier ways to manage your stress, and stop letting stress like have a chokehold on. You know what I'm saying? Like, because life, what I've learned now in helping me managing my stress is like, life, there's not going to be it's not going to be always smooth sailing. You're going to always encounter challenges. It's part of life. It's like with weight training. Like, in order to grow, you have to experience a new level of resistance. And so stress, I take it as this is me learning or growing in the midst, because I'm dealing with a lot more resistance. So I'm growing. It's all about the mind. If we can train our mind to look at stress as, okay, it's part of life, so I can't allow it to define me or kind of deteriorate me. I got to look at it like, yo, this is just building me. I got to find a healthy way to manage it. Like, I'm not going to let it overtake me. I'm going to overtake it. You know what I'm saying? One step at a time.
But the biggest thing that a lot of people don't want to do is go through that pressure. But you also remember the very diamonds that y'all want had to go through pressure.
That's
to
good.
Be created.
That's good.
And the fact that we have to deal with day-to-day pressure doesn't mean that we are to be crushed by it. We have to create the diamonds that are and the gems in our life pretty much through that. You know, and at the same time that you have to be strong to deal with that. I will tell you from the very bottom of my heart, I want especially fellas, man.
Fellas, yep.
Reach out and talk to somebody about it. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of brothers who deal with PTSD and trauma and anxiety. Like I deal with high functioning anxiety and depression. This is part of my life and a part of my existence. But I have to learn how to speak out and say something about it. And I'm not against saying it. I'm the biggest proponent for men's mental health in general, because at the same time, it's hard for us to express that. It doesn't make you weak to express something when something is bothering you. And I've had to look into myself to do the same thing.
That's why this podcast is so huge, and that's why I'm glad I brought you on board, man, because you speak to a lot of men that are silently going through these battles, dealing with these stresses and dealing with these conditions and these diagnoses, and don't have an outlet or don't feel like they can relate to, you know what I'm saying? Somebody may look at me like, well, he don't deal with the stuff I deal, but they look at you and you just share that and they're like, what?
Yeah,
this dude
man.
don't look like. So it's like, I'm glad that we have this platform to help men or bring light to women who may not know men go through this stuff.
Exactly. There's a lot of great women out here. I don't want nobody to ever downplay women at all.
No, that's not.
There's a lot of great
platform.
women out here. It just happens that a lot of times the ones who try to pretty much keep up on social media may get a little bit more spin, but good women, we see you.
Yeah.
We see you.
Yeah.
And all I'm trying to do is express it to where y'all understand more what we go through, because a lot of us aren't going to tell you that. And that's the hard part.
Yeah.
We're not blaming you at all. It's just when we go through certain things and we're not used to dealing with it that way by expressing ourselves. We're used to self-isolation and all that other stuff to try to satiate that pain for a moment, instead of reaching out to our partners and reaching out to our family and reaching out to our brothers who care and know we choose the wrong thing sometimes, and that's on us.
Yeah.
That's the accountability on us. But in the same voice, it needs to be said that we need somebody to listen to us.
Facts.
And if we know that it's okay for us to say certain things to you without judgment, in the same sense,
that's key.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And without it being looked upon as a source of weakness, more men will open up and tell you what's going on.
That's good.
You know what I mean?
That's good.
And again, it's not placing blame on anybody, because we are at fault just like anybody is at fault, because it's our problems and it's how we choose to express that, you know, that stress.
That's good.
And if you don't express it at some point, that's when them ticking time bombs go off with, I'm yelling at my partner, distance from
Lashing
my
out.
partner,
Yeah.
I'm drinking so much that I don't remember half the stuff that's going on, or I'm literally smoking every single day because I can't seem to maintain. And that's really coming from the trauma of not being able to express what's going on without judgment in that situation.
Man, I think this platform prayerfully will speak to that person who feels stuck or feels in a box, a man who's dealing with so much pressure, so much stress, and so much expectations, you know what I'm saying, from, you know, whether society or their spouse or their families. And, you know, I want to speak to that man who's listening, who's watching, and let them know, like, listen, you can be seen, you can be heard, you can be understood. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have a community out here to help you heal, help you feel appreciated, help you, you know what I'm saying, like, address some of the PTSD and have an outlet, you know what I'm saying, or help you connect to resources to get better. Like, you know what I'm saying, like, for me, I'm such a proponent for therapy. I'm such, like, I don't think I would have survived what I survived in the last couple of years, whether it's grief, loss, divorce, all that stuff, if I didn't have, you know, a circle of accountability, wise counsel, and a therapist. You know, first and foremost, God first and foremost in my life. But like, resources like therapy is so key and help us as men. You see, when I chose a therapist, I didn't just choose like a random therapist. I said I needed a black man.
Yeah.
Again, a black man, because I felt like there's some things as men, like, for instance, prayerfully one day I'll bring my therapist onto the pod, and I talked to him about this before, but I'm telling you, within 30 seconds of our session, he catches it. Because it's like there's certain things like I didn't have to explain. He caught it. Like, oh yeah, this is what it is. I was like, oh wow, so that like finding the right therapist is a whole nother thing, a whole nother episode. But like once you make that match, and for some men it may be a female therapist, it may be whatever. But for me, I found a therapist that understood me, and like I didn't have to over explain. Like it was crazy to feel understood and heard, and then help me get to the root of some things that I even bring out on these pods. And so like you share like what you deal with high function anxiety and depression, and then you're constantly finding healthy ways of combating it, and moving forward with it. And some days you don't have
yeah, man. Sometimes that stress gets the best of me, man. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And that's just part
Same
of it.
Here. Yeah.
And it's learning how to work through it on a day-to-day basis, because it may attack me in different ways. You know what I mean? It's not just one way to work on it. Like, oh yeah, I said going on a walk may be great for that day, but I may need more than that. Like I'll literally listen to a podcast. I'll listen to a sermon, something like that, just to kind of reset my mind, because at the same time, I need God just as much as I need a therapist at the same time.
Man, God and therapy, listen.
And that's what it is. That's as you get older, you progress in that mindset, because sometimes only what you go through is because God allows you to go through it. And it allows you through it, not just to stop there. You got to be able to move through it. And if y'all don't feel comfortable, sometimes talking to a therapist, I got elders that I talk to, because my elders have been through what I've been through and been past it. That's one thing that I do want to impart, especially on my community in general. We have good elders. Not all elders are healthy in the way of speaking to you on that level. But you have that one person who is going to be able to speak to you without judgment and give you sound counsel.
That's good.
And that's what therapy usually started out as, is talking to a wiser elder or a wiser professor, or somebody who understood what was going down in your mind, and then they started to make correlations, and it became a science in the same way.
Man.
You know what I mean? And that's just the progression.
I love, sometimes you talking about wise counsel, sometimes when we at the gym, some of them older guys, man, we pull them aside, we'll break a whole workout and just stand there and listen to the wisdom from them older guys.
Now some of them wild though, like some of them wild, that's not wisdom. That's a level of ignorance, but they survived that ignorance. But it's still a message in there. Yeah. It's just like, man, look, bro. Back in the day, if it was social media, y'all would be, you know what I'm saying? Like you would never be able to get it, like make it through life in that moment.
Listen, but but it also shows that we're not the only ones. Our generations weren't just the wild boys. They were wild.
Oh yeah, don't let nobody tell you.
Listen,
that
there ain't nothing new under the sun. And so surrounding yourself with, like, seeking wise counsel outside. If it's not a therapist, speaking to someone from the older generation. Like I love hearing from the older guys. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like you learn. It's kind of like learning from someone else's mistakes. Like, yo, he's sharing. This is so I can avoid making the same mistakes. And listen to him, like, and it's not just listening to him and applying it. Like, yo, he went through this for a reason, and it's like, and I think I could have made a lot more mistakes in my life. I've made mistakes, but I've avoided those mistakes because I listened to wise counsel. And it was like, Amos, don't make a left at this thing because you're gonna run into a brick wall. I listened to that. Now, some of us were like, nah, that's just you. I'm just going to go ahead.
Man, I'm going to be honest. Some of the wisest counsel I've ever gotten were from some of the older women that I've talked to.
Okay.
Because they're like the grandmothers.
Yeah.
You know, I lost both of mine.
Yeah,
so
same.
At the same time, a lot of them have took roles in there. And I needed that cross counsel.
Yeah.
Because I had one thought pattern. And they're like, you have to think on this too.
Man.
Because it's not just you. I understand it, and that made me so much more knowledgeable, and hopefully it makes me wiser in my life from having those women in there. Like I'll be honest, this is just today. This is hot off the presses. I had a new, client just talk to me, and it was an older woman, and she had me down pegged like just who I am as a person within 2 minutes of conversation. And I'm sitting over here, you want to learn from me,
and I'm learning from you.
I'm learning from you so much more with this conversation.
That's powerful.
And about how I need to conduct myself in life a little bit different so that I can shine, because you saw something in me that I didn't see. And that right there, this is why I say men and women need each other, man. That. And that's why some of my best therapists that I've been to were female.
Yeah, I had,
and it's because I think I needed that cross counsel.
Yeah.
And
I was thinking because I've taken a break in therapy this year, 2024. Just because to get through this transition. And my therapist texts me once in a while, and so I'm gonna read back. But I think I don't know if it's gonna be a life coach or some type of I definitely would love to get a female perspective. Because even online, I see therapists. I follow a few therapists and females, and they'll say something. I'm like, I like that perspective. I don't know what's the word, but I love hearing other perspectives because I'm a thinker. So I don't like to think one track. I like to think multiple track, but especially when I make decisions in life, I like to see it from a whole 360 perspective. So I want to get so many different vantage points. And so I would love to sit with a female perspective, a female therapist, and kind of dissect some of the things that I've experienced and see what their perspective would be. Because you're right, they bring a whole different viewpoint.
Oh yeah, man, because the thing is, again, we don't walk life just men and then just women. We walk together. That's how we supposed to.
I love it. I love it.
That's how we supposed to coexist with everybody.
I'll give you an example.
You know what I mean?
I'm sorry to cut you. My cousin, I have a good close cousin. She's more like my sister. We're a year apart.
Yeah.
And we talk almost every day. And when I have my low moments, like you share, I have my low moments. She will bring a perspective about it, and I'm like, yo, or I may have, in times past, a relational issue with a female. I talked to my female cousin. She's like, oh no, that was just this. This is what I was like, oh. To understand the mindset of a female, sometimes it's good to talk to a female, and so I do appreciate having that perspective in managing all of the stuff that we have to.
And that was a type of therapy, man. As I'm trying to tell you, it's like therapists are here to help. And a lot of times, if we don't feel comfortable talking to therapists, in that sense, you can talk to, again, a reputable elder, somebody who has a good head on their shoulders.
Male or female,
male or female doesn't really matter. Sometimes I'll talk to my uncle or I'll talk to my aunt, and they'll impart some information on me that I was so bullheaded not to be able to pick up. I have no problem saying that I'm bullheaded sometimes, you know what I mean? Listen, for all y'all astrology nuts, I'm an Aries. You know what I mean? But the thing is, at the same time, that doesn't prove bad behavior is indicative to me. You know what I mean? It's just the fact that learning from everybody I possibly can, learning from you, learning from, just anybody I can. Sometimes you learn something from a stranger.
Listen, I love perspective, conversations, coming across, and I get most of my conversations in the gym, sitting in the sauna, especially when it's co-ed saunas, you'll sit here and bump into or overhear a conversation, or I'm having a conversation with somebody and somebody will just jump in and provide their perspective, and sometimes you be like, man, you just stop being nosy, but it's cool anyways. But they end up bringing their perspective, and you be like, oh.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's okay to have different views.
Yeah, and I'm always welcome that. I love that. And then so, dealing with all the stressors, and we talked about work-related stress, financial stress. We talked about health issues, and we talked about relationship struggles, and finally we talked about societal expectations and struggles and stuff like that. Recapping, talking about just addressing getting active, take a walk and doing meditation, and then we talk about therapy. If you need someone to really hash out some things, or talking to wise counsel, an elder, whether male or female. I really want us to just really stop stressing. And and it's easier said than done, but what I mean by stop stressing is just like, don't allow stress to run you over the edge. Let's find ways to reel it in and take control of our stress. Because again, it's inevitable. Life is going to come with struggles. Life is going to come with stress. Life is going to come with ups and downs. You're going to deal with health issues, financial issues, work issues, relationship issues, societal issues. It's given unless you live under a rock.
Yeah, look, there's no way you can avoid some type of societal issue, and there's no way that you can avoid just the hearsay on social media.
Yeah, it's just the best way to deal with it is find healthier ways to combat it. And you're not always going to be able to hit it out the park. Like I said, I deal with anxiety, I deal with depression, I deal with all the stuff, overthinking, I deal with all that. And some days I got it, and some days I don't. But the fact that there is constant effort, just don't dwell in that dark space. Find your community, someone to reach out to. Maybe it's a stranger.
Look, again, be safe about strangers.
Stranger danger.
Don't just walk up to some random dude who looked like he probably cracked out and had some moments in life where it's like this. He's probably not a safe person or place. Let's just not do that.
Let's not do that.
But at the same time, find a mental health expert.
Professional, yeah.
Get with a personal trainer. Get with a doctor, because sometimes it's hormonal, and sometimes you're lacking in like vitamin D. Go outside and get some sunlight.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. There's other things that we can do to help bring that stress down. Just make sure that you are doing things in a healthy way. We're not condoning, drinking and smoking and doing all this stuff. Like, in moderation, you can go smoke a cigar, you can drink some alcohol, you can do whatever you want to because you're an adult.
But
don't do it to a point where it becomes an addiction, because that's a whole different that's a whole different stress. Your stress-free, carefree, this is supposed to help me. Nah, it didn't turn into a whole monkey on your back, and now you're trying to get away from that.
And my heart goes out for those who deal with that level of addiction, because that do exist. Alcohol addiction, drug addiction. There's just so many things that people are fighting, and so my heart is out to you, and we hope that you get the help you need. But for those who are dealing with stress and are stuck or feeling stuck, whether it's grief of a loss or there's so many things, there is help. And I hope this podcast, coming from a health and fitness professional, coming from a music professional and film professional, like we have these perspectives of life and experiences, and that we want to share through this podcast, especially to our men, black or white or red, yellow, wherever. There's a message behind this. And for the females who may be watching or listening, if you got men in your life that are kind of closed in their little world, don't judge them quickly. Show some empathy, show some compassion, because you just don't know what storms they may be dealing with internally. And sometimes it's just hard. You may need help. You may need to understand, because sometimes, just like women, sometimes we look at women like, what language are you speaking? We communicate differently, and so when they said men are from Venus, women from Mars.
Men are from Mars, women from Venus.
So we do sometimes.
It's a whole different language.
It's a different language.
At the same time, you got to look at there is couples counseling.
Truth.
And I do, promote that. Do that. If you're having problems communicating with your man, go to couples counseling.
And now, that might be another episode.
Oh yeah,
because don't just go to couples counseling. Find the right counselor. Because listen, if I would say what I went through in couples counseling, it was the wrong one. You got to find the right one. It has to be the right one. And so that's another episode. I don't want to talk about it now. But if you're a couple, married, all that stuff, I encourage you, just like Tank says, find you a couples counselor, but make sure it's the right fit. Because what I would say this, as a man, the goal with a couples counselor, most times, is to remain neutral. Or to provide a space where both parties can communicate. I unfortunately didn't have that. When I went to couples counseling, it just, something was wrong. And how I knew something was wrong, because I went to my individual counseling and the counselor's like, that's not supposed to happen, you know? And so I noticed, thankfully I had that resource to recognize. So I encourage you, make sure both parties, when you go to counsel, are comfortable with that, or as close as possible. So there's, you know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes I like with couples counseling, if there's a male and female, there's a couple, you know what I'm saying? A couple of counseling, because again, there's some things men can communicate better to men. Because sometimes, I mean, and nothing against female, because sometimes some female counselors are able to can pinpoint things. But I just wanted to add that little sidebar, like couples counselor, but make sure it's the right fit. And because again, it's big for us men, like, because the last thing we want to feel is double teamed. To walk inside a session.
Oh no, man! See, look, at that point in time, it's like this. A lot of times, people have problems when the mirror is turned to them. No, so you have to be very careful. You're right about having the right therapist, and not every therapist is for everybody.
That's the
so. Again, taking your time to figure out who works for you and who works for y'all. At the same time,
because you don't want to feel like you're being double teamed. Even for the ladies, you don't feel like being attacked. And so
it needs to be an even.
It has to be even kill. It's possible. It's possible. And so that's a whole nother pod when I deal with couples counseling, because I do believe in it, but I got to make sure it's just not any and every couples counselor is the right one. Even I see on internet, on Beyonce's internet, some of these couples counselors be saying stuff. I'm like, that's what you're preaching, but hey, to each his own, but find the right mixture. Even your personal individual counselor, therapist, find the right one.
Yeah, and they can also, push you to another counselor that may be, if they're worth their weight in gold, if they feel like they cannot help you, they should push you to another counselor who may be able to help you, or to a reputable website that helps you. Either, even if you can't afford one, there's something called a sliding scale that most will do with, which means that they'll help you find a way to pay for it in a way that you can, so that there's no excuse to not get help. And one big thing I want to say is, fellas, you're not crazy for going to get therapy.
Nope.
Because stress piled up can compile to something that you don't want it to be. That's what I mean? It, like I said, the health thing, it encompasses everything. Everything bleeds together.
That's good.
So go get help if you need that.
That's good.
And even if you don't think you need that, you probably do.
That part.
Listen. In the way life is right now, with all the stress, man, if it's financial, go to somebody who understands that, brother.
Man.
You know what I mean? There's a therapist and there's an investment banker, too. Go to that one, too, man.
I can attest to managing stress. Some days you have it, some days you don't. But I think for me, it's the constant journey of, I have the desire to manage my stress, and because I want to be healthy, I want to live a longer life. You know what I'm saying? And so I encourage you to stop stressing. That's what my message for me, and our message. And what I mean by stop stressing is, find better ways to manage your stress. Stop letting stress manage you.
Exactly, man. Stop trying to impress and stress less, man.
Yeah.
I'm trying to tell you, look,
bars, yo.
Look, hey, that's just part of how I am, man.
Yeah,
that's how part of I talk,
Listen, man, this is good. Like, we want to provide a variety of topics. We just don't want to talk about single man things, or we want to talk about what men deal with. Stress is probably one of the largest things we deal with, and everybody handles stress differently. And this episode particularly wants to share with, bring some light to, like, we're living in some difficult times, but we still can find healthy ways to combat the difficulties and not allow it to crush us. You know what I'm saying? To the point that we're near a brink of death. And I want you to live. I want you to live. I want us to live. And we need each other. We need to encourage one another. And so, if you're in a dark space, reach out to someone. because we want you to live. We want you to make it. And so we've been there. I know many people who's watching or listening is going through it or been there.
Yeah.
And just know that, listen, you can make it. You will make it. This too shall pass. This is not the end. This is just this season. Stress, you may be dealing with higher levels of stress than usual. Just know that this storm's going to pass. And I want to encourage you, find ways, take a walk, get some vitamin D, drink some water, talk to some counsel, like do something and get out of that cave of depression, anxiety, worry, overthinking, being down and out. Like go to church, go to men's Bible study. I know there's plenty of churches that offers good Bible study. Do something to break you out of that whirlwind of doubt, fear, of questioning yourself, of low confidence, low self-esteem, and low self-worth. Like we are here to help pull you out of that hole.
Yes, sir. Understand that it's always this. Nobody's going to judge you for doing what's right for yourself. And if they do, they're not for you in the get-go. Yeah. You know what I mean? Do what's best for yourself. You know, always hold respect as king in anything like that. Brothers, if another brother tells you something and imparts some information on you, don't go run tell nobody else. Just go talk to that brother only about that stuff so that he can trust you and that he has a safe spot. Yeah. Because that's all we're really looking for at the end of the day is to feel like we're safe with our friends, our partners, you know, and our family.
No judgment zones. Like we have a safe space, you know, and we are each other's blind spot keepers. Like there's maybe some things we don't see that when we talk to someone, they may provide a perspective that we didn't see. And so we are here to help and encourage you who's listening, who's watching, who may be with someone that is going through it. Maybe it's your brother, maybe it's your cousin. I know a friend who has a brother who's going through a very challenging, mentally challenging situation and dealing with depression and dealing with some societal pressures and other things and marital pressures. And I constantly have empathy, because it's hard out here, man. Yeah, man. And so I felt, you know, I talked to him about it. Like, let's talk about stress and managing it and finding ways, and especially in his field as a personal trainer, it's directly correlated in his industry to managing stress. You know what I'm saying? And so I just hear him out, hear what I share. I live it. You know what I'm saying? And I don't look like what I've been through, because I constantly find ways to be resilient and not allow the pressures of life to weigh me down. And so what I'm speaking from a lot of it from experience. You know what I'm saying? So, because I don't look like what I've been through, men, but trust me, I feel you. If you're listening, if you're watching, no, I feel you. Like, it is not easy out here, but you can make it. You will make it. You know what I'm saying? And
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This is what Battle Wounds is all about, man. Like, we are here to tend to our wounds. Like, we take a break from the fight and just attend to the wounds, address it, get better, heal, so we can get back in the fight. Because it ain't
never over, man. It ain't over till it's over. In that same sense, remember this, brothers. We see you. Yeah. You know what I mean? Your silence speaks volumes in the same voice. You know what I mean? Ladies, pay attention to your man if he's silent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
don't judge him. Don't you fuss at him. Exactly. Just know that, he's going through a storm that is very hard to explain, or to, or he doesn't want to feel judged or feel like, he failed. You know what I'm saying? And the fear of failure. Or, that's a whole nother thing.
That's a whole nother thing.
So females, like your spouse, your significant other, just show some empathy, show some compassion. Just give them space to figure this thing out. It's hard out here, yo. You know what I'm saying?
You never lie.
It's hard out here. So we here, to provide that. We are encouraging this episode is about stop stressing, stop allowing stress to push you over the edge. Find better ways to get a hold of it, and knowing you can't get rid of it. So we got to find ways to manage it. You know what I'm saying? So I hope some of the tools we shared it's going to help you. It is going to remind you that you're going to be all right. everything is going to be okay. You know, the good, bad, and ugly. Life has all of that. But at the end of the day, you're going to be okay.
Yes,
and so, again, Tank, I mean, like I say, this dude, he deals with this constantly with people who come to gyms to manage their stress and to get healthy. Really take moments to find yourself or even a personal trainer in addition to a therapist to help you, with your goals, with your health to get better, man. And so thank you so much, man. This was good, bro.
Oh yeah, man. This one hit a little different.
We
went a little bit longer
but
than what normal is, but at the same time, it's that impactful that you have to sometimes spend a little bit of extra time and a little bit of extra care so that people are taken care of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what we're here for, man. And so we so appreciate you tuning into the Battle Wounds podcast. And, the very slogan of this whole podcast is health is wealth.
Yes, sir.
Health is wealth. It makes no sense to have all this money and your health is not intact. Your mental health is not intact. Your physical health is not intact. And so this podcast is really encouraging you to say health is wealth. This is our motto. Health is wealth. And so we hope that this episode is giving you some tools that you can help deal with your stress. Next week we'll come back again. We might pop up on Instagram, y'all. Make sure you follow us. We might pop up because we wanna connect with y'all and see what y'all think of what's going on with this podcast so far, and what's some things that we should need to cover, because we got some guests coming. But we want to just make sure that we are real touching on subjects that you want to hear about and talk about, especially for the men or some of the females. There some things you like to know more about us men, that you
ask us questions.
So
man.
we might pop up on Instagram.
We're gonna put up a panel or something like that to give feedback on both sides. I think that would be a great way to look at it and a great way to kind of like intersect different kind of ideas and try to change the culture. That's the idea, is change the culture of just we're divided. You know what I mean? We want to be able to answer the same questions that are asked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we do appreciate the feedback. I've gotten some feedback from people, and we'll work on it as we progress and get more into it and grow as a podcast.
Yeah.
So don't forget to share this so that the algorithm picks it up.
Like it,
share, subscribe.
Yep.
Tell your friends about it. Get it out there, because some of these things that we're saying are things that people are afraid to say.
Facts.
And won't say.
Facts.
But they need to be said.
Facts.
You know what I mean?
That's good. I love it, man. And so, listen, we'll be back with another episode of Battle Wounds Podcast. Again, I'm your host, Amos St. John.
Your boy, Aaron Tanqueray.
Listen, make sure you follow, like, subscribe. And again, we say health is wealth. That's our motto. Until next time, y'all have a good one. Y'all be easy.
Y'all be blessed.